twisting figure, mouth wide as it screamed out its anguish to the world. Isaac extended a finger to touch it and laughed nervously. He could feel his skin blistering with the heat. "How can you do this?" his agent had said, shaking his head in admiration. "How on earth do you make it so vibrant? Hell, I can even smell the stench of roasting flesh." Isaac wasn't sure how he did it. His fingers worked, and he slipped into a subconscious state where colours flowed together on the canvas, and all according to an inner voice. It scared the hell out of him, but that wasn't something he was about to admit, not even to himself. He flicked off the old sheet that covered his latest work, a painting that was very different from anything else in the room. Just looking at his depicted somnolent courtyard filled him with unwelcome sensations of vertigo, a niggling feeling that he was walking a tightrope over forbidden zones, like he'd done all those years ago when, as a boy, he had painted the picture that allowed his grandfather, Magnus Lind, to dive from this time to another. Impossible, of course, and yet it had happened. He caressed the wooden frame of the picture, a depiction of an empty stone-flagged space surrounded by arched walkways in whitewashed stone. In the middle a fountain, a constant welling of water, and Isaac knew exactly what the water would taste like, and how cool it would feel to his fingers. In olive greens and muted browns, with the odd dash of whites and startling blues, the water spilled over the fountain's edge to fall in transparent drops towards the ground. Isaac reared back, and in his head he heard a mocking little laugh. "Too afraid to look deep into your own work?" Well, yes, he was. Sweat broke out across his forehead, beaded his upper lip, and made him wipe his damp hands against his jeans. He tried to break eye contact with the falling water, but now he heard it as well, the pitter-patter of drops on wet stone, the trickling sound of water running through a narrow channel, and there, just where he had painted it, a minute point of white beckoned and promised, entrapping his gaze in a shaft of dazzling light. Carlos Munoz was walking back to his room when he saw the stranger lying sprawled half in, half out of the fountain. With a soft exclamation, he hurried, as well as he could, to the groaning heap of a man. Carlos wrinkled his nose. The man was drunk. But how on earth had he ended up here, in the monastery's secluded courtyard? He swept the cloister walls, but they were empty, most of the monks hastening back to their beds from matins for a few more hours of sleep. Carlos kneeled clumsily on account of his peg leg, and turned the stranger over. He yelped, and dropped the man back onto the cobbles, scrambling back a few feet. Angel! Here! But no, it couldn't be. His cousin had died 2 years ago on Jamaica, hanged by the neck for spying on behalf of his Royal Spanish Majesty. "Fucking hell!" the stranger groaned, and Carlos scooted backwards, got back to his feet. "Inglés?" He hadn't spoken English since he returned from the New World. "Es usted inglés?" No," the stranger moaned and sat up. "If anything, I'm Scots." He spoke passable Spanish, understandable but heavily accented, and looked about himself with trepidation. "Bloody fucking hell!" he cursed in English, and Carlos thought the young man reminded him of someone, apart from being a disconcerting copy of himself. He extended his hand to help the man stand, and they were nose to nose, of remarkably similar build, albeit that the stranger was a couple of inches taller, both with a soaring quiff of dark hair over the right brow, both with dark, lustrous eyes that were saved from being doe-like by strong, dark brows. The stranger gaped. At one level, Carlos supposed it was most droll, this meeting between two men so alike as to seem twins, no doubt with identical expressions of disbelief painted on their faces. At another level, it was so disquieting it made Carlos' good leg dip somewhat, causing him to have to hop for a couple of seconds to regain his balance. The stranger inhaled, barked a laugh, and to Carlos' bemusement pinched himself multiple times. "Where am I?" the stranger finally said. Carlos studied this double of his in silence.